All right, let's get to it. Corey, what you got?
Alrighty. Well, let's do a Q1 comparison of this year versus last year.
Okay.
So you got some stuff pulled up in front of you, but first things first, I think as we were just discussing the total amount of sales or closed deals that we've had last year versus this year in Q1, almost the same, but a slight decline, right?
Yeah, it dropped a little over 5%. So the number of transactions for the first quarter 2021, minus this one little week that we're missing here, it was 230 sales last year. It's 220 sales this year. So that works out to be a little more than a 5% decrease.
You consider that statistically significant, or just it could have gone either way?
I think it's hard to say. I think it could have gone either way. The country as a whole is experiencing a little bit of a decline in transactions. I think in our area, it's something that as simple as bad weather for 4 days could have caused that, right? We spent 5 or 6 days under freezing temperatures, and for our area, that's absurd. So, we don't do well in cold weather. So here in North Georgia, we want it to be sunny and 75, but that could have been enough to attribute 10 of these sales. It could be that one of the brokerages just hasn't put in the latest stats, and maybe last year they did it early, and this year they're a little behind closing it out, So it could be something as simple as that when you're talking about 10 transactions.
Something for people to keep in mind. A lot of this data, or all of this data, is dependent on the agents inputting it timely and correctly and all that stuff. So
absolutely,
we just have to work with what we've got. So
yep.
Days on market as well, I think it's roughly the same, maybe 1 day off.
That's right. 2021, it was 17 days on market was the median, and 2022, 16 days on market. So essentially the same.
Yeah, I would hardly call that significant. Let's see, what else you have pulled up there?
The real question that most people want to know is how much did sell prices go up, right? So
yes.
In 2021, the median sale price that we have from January 1st, 2021 to March 23rd, 2021, median sale price was $185. Same dates for 2022, median sale price $218.5.
I was going to say $219.
Yeah, good guess. So that's a significant increase. I can't do the math in my head that quickly, but I'm going to go with roughly 20% increase, right? Mm-hmm. So big difference. If you were thinking about buying a house last year and you said, you know what, I'm going to wait for the crash, it just cost you an extra 20% to wait that 1 year. And, oh, by the way, interest rates are higher today than they were this same time last year. So
I heard Boomer fussing about that earlier today.
That's right. Yeah, we got an agent on our team who's building a house and really wished that house was finished last summer.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so the rate that I saw today, and obviously check with your mortgage broker to make sure that's accurate for you, but the rate I saw today that Hannah Rogers liked at Rogers Lending Team, Movement Mortgage, shout out, she liked a rate at 4.75. Mm-hmm. Ouch.
Yeah.
When I liked my rate on the house that we bought last year. We bought it last July. No, we bought it July 2 years ago, but then renovated it, and I got my permanent mortgage through her last April, and I liked it at 3%. So the difference between 3 to 4.75 is hundreds of dollars a month.
So I think also the other big question that folks are going to be having is that 20% increase that happened from last year to this year. Mm-hmm. Whenever we're having this conversation about Q1 2023, you thinking it's going to be another 20%? It's going to be 10?
Hold on, let me get my crystal ball. It's
okay.
Right.
Just go ahead and reach under there.
I didn't bring it with me today. I will say that I would think that it slows down. The
has to.
Appreciation speed has to slow down. Do I think it's a crash? No. Do I think it's a correction? No. So for those that don't know, correction is defined as a 10% drop in a price. So if we're talking about the stock market, it's at 100, it goes down to 90, that's a 10% decrease. So that would be a correction. A crash would be 20%. So I don't see correction or crash. I see appreciation happening continually throughout the year. It's just going to not be 18%, would be my guess. I think 18 is crazy. It's unsustainable. We've had multiple years of that in a row. I'm hoping that it slows down. I would like to bring something to market, not get 25 offers, and actually give our buyers a chance to buy something. That would be nice, It
is very frustrating still on that buying end. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're a seller, you love it. Let's put it on the market today. Let's get 25 offers in. And honestly, I've got a seller that was for sale by owner. I called him. I saw the sign. Turns out I knew the guy. I'm like, dude, you should have listed with me. What's your deal? And he laughed and he's like, oh, I don't need to list it. The market's so easy. I can get a seller right away, or I can get a buyer right away. I said, okay, well, that's cool. Just call me if you need me. He's called me no less than a dozen times. What do I do with this? What does this mean?
Yeah.
What? The appraisal came in low. What do I do now? Right?
Yeah. Getting the buyer is one slice of a very big pie.
Oh yeah, like getting the buyer. Okay, now what do you do with the buyer?
Yeah.
Right. Like what does this 8-page contract mean? Right. So many times he's called and texted and I've helped him through it. And he said the other day, he's like, I'll never sell a house again without you.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things that come up. Do you need a survey? What do I do if the appraisal comes in $5,000 short? How do I even read this appraisal? This appraisal is 27 pages long. Like what is, I can't even find where it says what the house is worth. Like what page is that on? Mm-hmm. Right? There's so many of those situations. And a contract is something that can be manipulated. It didn't happen to him in this case. It was a fine contract, but there are many variables that you can place on a contract that you may not know what you're signing. So if you don't do this every day, it's much more difficult. So sorry, got off on a little side trail there.
I do want to ask you though before we move on there. You said in the event we're having this conversation in a year, it's not sustainable if we're looking at another 20% or another high number, whatever it is. What about that makes it not sustainable? Like, what are you thinking when you say that?
That's a great question. So affordability is really the metric that matters most. And so that metric is made up of wages, so how much you make, interest rate, because let's face it, almost everybody gets financing of some sort to buy the house. So it's wages plus the interest rate that you have to pay plus the sale price. So if we continue to see 20% increases on the sale price, we are going to need to see a significant increase in wages. Now there is leverage. You're borrowing money, so you don't have to see a 1-for-1. I made $1 more per hour, so I can buy $1 more in house. That's not quite how it works. But wages have to go up at a very similar rate in order to keep paying more and more for the houses. Right?
Yeah.
So the household income in Whitfield County, we can look it up. We can put a graphic on the screen, but it has gone up tremendously over the last couple of years. So that's helping us pay these higher prices. But if the wages start slowing down faster than the price appreciation slows down, then we have an affordability problem. Luckily, Dalton, Whitfield, Murray County, our area has seen low cost of living for a long time. So I think people here are kind of spoiled, and I hate to say that to our listeners and alienate them, but I will just say that we've been spoiled with low cost of living for a long time.
Sure.
And so we have a ton of buyers that come to town, Chicago, California, Washington. I've dealt with all three of those in the last 24 hours. And so they're amazed at how cheap housing is here. And then if you talk to somebody that was born and raised in Chatsworth or Dalton or Tunnel Hill, they're like, there's no way I'm paying these prices. This is outrageous. It's going to crash.
Exactly.
We're in a bubble. I don't know if we're in a bubble or not. I don't know if it's going to crash or not. But what I do know is the California guy really likes our house prices, right? The Chicago guy last night that I talked to who owned a 1,200 square foot house in Chicago that just sold it for $554, bought a house in Chatsworth last year at $240. He feels really good about getting a bigger house with a garage that he didn't have in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it feels way better to pay half price.
Yeah. There have been so many situations where, the person from California or wherever, we're talking about a property that I've had 10 conversations about, and everybody's like, oh, that's overpriced. I can't pay that. But the guy from California, wherever, he's like, he doesn't even flinch at it. He's like, oh, it's a great deal. Of
course, have 3 of these?
Yeah.
Can I get 3 of them?
So yeah, you're exactly right, I think. What else you got there?
So we have 134 active listings currently on the MLS, and those are residential listings. It's not counting raw land or commercial or any of that. How many houses do we have under contract? The last time I checked, I don't have it pulled up right here, it was 221 under contract. So we have more pending sales than we actually have active listing. That's just
which has been the case for quite a while now.
Yeah, there was a moment there in, I think it was November, where that actually flipped for just a minute, like maybe a week, where we had more actives than we had under contract. And so within a week, it went back to what we've experienced for the last 2 years. And now that gap has even widened. This is probably one of the widest gaps we've seen. June of think it was June of 21, we had 74 active listings and we had 260 under contract. So that was the widest gap. But we're headed back there now. Yeah, maybe the interest rate changes that a little. Maybe the sale price has gotten to a point where people start hesitating. I don't know, but so far the trend line is going back to less active listings, more under contract.
If you had to make a bet on it, do you think in this year that'll correct itself, or are we still gonna just for fun and games?
I think in 2021 we saw it happen for about a week. I think it's certainly possible in 22 that we see it happen maybe a couple times, maybe for a couple weeks at a time. So by and large, most of the year is going to be this way. Is going to be less active listings and more under contract. Over time, that will go back to normal.
Do you recall when the last time that happened? Like, did that happen ever in the past in your career?
It probably has happened. I didn't track it all that often because it was just such a rarity. So had it happened for a day or a week, maybe, it was certainly not the norm.
Yeah.
My career as a real estate agent started in 2011. So at that moment, we had plenty of sellers. We just couldn't find any, or I'm sorry, we had plenty of sellers. Everybody wanted to sell. We just couldn't find buyers that wanted to buy or could buy because we were in the middle of the crisis. So, so the number of under contract, very small. Number of active listings, there were plenty of sellers, right? So, so it was a much different time frame in 2011. And then we've kind of steadily gone up in our Dalton MLS. We've kind of steadily gone up in sale price and gone down in active listings. And so now here we are, getting close to double digits instead of triple digits.
Right. What other stats we got on there?
I found it interesting that the average list price is $365, but yet the median sold price that we talked about earlier was $218.5. So there's a big gap between what people list at and what we are actually seeing the sales prices be.
So what is? It seems everybody is under the impression of, there's the list price and it's going to sell for that or more than that. So why doesn't that chart reflect that?
Because there are people who are testing the market. How much can I get for this house? Let me see just how far people will go.
People who wouldn't have sold otherwise, probably.
Yeah, if you're gonna pay people enough, they will move. That is the case, so much so that Zillow has a little function on their website that says "Make me move." Yeah. And so, what price is that? So there are definitely some sellers out there that
the "Pay me too much" button.
That's what we should call it. There are certainly some sellers out there that have said, "If you pay me too much, I will move."
Yeah.
Yes. So we do have some of that right now. For example, the highest price listing we have is $3.5 million. If that sells, that will be the highest price of a sale that we've had in as long as I've been a realtor, so in the decade.
Yeah, but as far as our listings go, I mean, I feel like they're mostly still in the boat of, list price or more.
Another interesting point is the days on market. The median days on market for the active listings, 35. So that tells you that there are plenty of listings out there that have been on the market for 60, 90, 120 days, and those just aren't getting the traffic. But if you price it accordingly to what the comps say it's worth, and you have any shot of getting an appraiser to agree with you, then it's probably going to sell in the first few days. It would be unusual to have a house priced appropriately that doesn't have some other glaring problem with it that takes longer to sell. Now, there are outliers, sure. If you're 3x the median, then okay, that might take a minute because you're 3x the median.
Yeah.
All the buyers are in this 218 range, and we're at $1 million. That's obviously going to take a minute.
Right.
If you have something that is going on with your house, that might take a minute. If you've got a leaky roof and don't have the money to fix the roof, that sale may take a little longer, or you reduce the price to make up for it.
Yeah. Anything else of interest on that chart?
I think that's the wrap up for Q1 minus 1 week.
Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, I think the first, at least important stats to me that we talked about doesn't seem like a ton of change from last year, but the appreciation absolutely is large and charging.
It is.
As Joe Dirt says.
They're large and charging, looking for chickies.
As a final statement, I will just say that now would be a time when a lot of buyers might say, you know what, I'm too uncertain about where this is going, so I'm going to get on the sideline.
Yeah.
I can see a buyer's mentality being that. But if we're seeing 18% appreciation today, and that cools off to half of that, let's just say it's half, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we end the year at 9% appreciation. Well, if you wait another year, that house just cost you roughly 10% more, right? If you're buying a $200,000 house, it costs you $220 tomorrow or next year, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So does it make sense to wait? Does it make sense to go and say, look, I'm going to wait till this craziness calms down? That waiting might cost you 10%. I mean, it's 18% today, so it costs you way too much to wait. But even if it cools down by half, it still costs you too much to wait. The other thing is a 4.75 rate, historically speaking, really great rate.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, we did come from a 2.65 environment, sure, but still 4.75 is a great rate to buy a house at. The house that I bought when I was in the mortgage industry, I got a 6% rate on and felt like I stole it. So,
Yeah.
6% to me was awesome in 2006. So,
Just that people are caught up on whatever it was a week or a month ago or whatever.
4.75 is still not bad.
Yeah.
And $230 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, that's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
We've got it way better than a lot of folks.
Ask the guy in California.
Yeah, so I will leave you with, if you need to buy a house for your family because you're having a kid or you need to downsize, if you need to buy a house, now's a great time to buy a house.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We do it.
That's all right. Call Corey. He will help you get that house.